People of the world, we're back in the mix Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's the Matt Tack Reap the Harvest show live on live. What's going on, Matty Matt?
Live on live. Good, man. Good. Without my comrade.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, we can't have our
Can't have her
supermodel. We can't have our supermodel star every week. We're gonna have to keep you guys guessing out there.
She's rearranging my office though, so it's I'm like I don't know where to sit anymore. So this is what we got, man.
She's keeping the people guessing. She's keeping Matt guessing. That's part of the game. That's part of our mystique here on the Matt Tack page. So you were talking about finding mentors in life. Why don't you break that down a little bit?
Yeah. No, I'd love to. I think, that's just been one of the most influential things for me. I think over the past probably, my entire life, really, you've known mentors maybe at a young age. Some are good, some are bad. So you don't just find a mentor. You need to find a mentor that obviously is going to breathe into you, breathe life into you. And I think I've been very blessed in that capacity, both spiritually and on more of a professional level, and professional level really being in the past 3 years of investing. But I even wanted to take it a step further, and I don't want to sound self-righteous because I know my wife, she's like beating me. This is not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to give like my monologue of like how I'm self-righteous because tell you the truth, yesterday sucked. Yesterday was terrible. We just had a contract bottom out by a buyer that wasn't able to perform. That was pretty large, and then I had all sorts of problems with a couple closings. But I'm like super bummed at the end of the day because something happened with a couple of our systems, and we really I'm trying to get a little bit stronger processes in place and our back end systems. And I'm like, man, this is just a struggle. Like, oh gosh, man, it sucks. And so it went through my head, right? Practice what you preach, the neutralization of the negative talk, right? And how am I gonna neutralize this, and how am I gonna wake up tomorrow a better man? And I think in many ways you can know mentors personally, but then you also have the mentors because of the technological world that we live in. That you're able to get free mentors and you don't even need to know, which is pretty cool too. So you can just feed off of just some phenomenal information that's completely free and accessible. Where that's what I do. That's where I get a lot of. I feel like my discernment, and discernment is so important to me. But what does finding a mentor look like? What is that? How do I find a mentor? What is you obviously have to build a relationship with somebody first if you're going to find a physical mentorship. Like, I mean, if it's that avenue where you sit down with somebody. If it's a good fit, it's a good fit. If it's not, it's not. I do, in the way I raise capital. So I'm going to put it in a capital perspective. A lot of people rely on me to know the knowledge, to know what I'm doing, what the investment vehicle is going to look like. But it's a 3-step process, right? So I sit down with them and we build a relationship. So I have to know them. I have to know if it's a good fit. Not all good money, and not all money is good money. So you don't chase money because once you start chasing money, it's just a bad MO. It's a bad operation. You're setting yourself up on a sandy foundation. So the first thing is really I build a relationship with them. We say it's a good fit. I'm testing you as much as you're testing me. So I look, and if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. No harm, no foul. You just walk away, and it is what it is. But if it is a good fit, and we develop, and we feel like we can cultivate the relationship, I then take you into a secondary meeting. And what we'll talk about in the secondary meeting is just like, what does your investment palette look like? And what is what's your level of risk? What those things, right? I'm not a financial advisor by any means. I'm going to let you know that, but I do know real estate, and I know from the perspective of commercial multifamily, and then also different business operations. I can lead well in those areas. I'm not going to like stray off into other things, but like, is that a good fit? Is that your investment palette, or are you looking for something like insanely risky that I just don't need a part of? I actually we got into something the other day with a buddy. He was talking to me about something, and I'm like, honestly, man, my lane's real estate. That's all I know. That's what I put all my focus on. So so then we go in that. What's your investment palette look like? And then third, we go into maybe whatever vehicle it is. So like we have two different touches, and now we're going into like an investment vehicle that we can talk about, that I can actually take you through the pitch deck of what that looks like, what we think the projected returns are as far as in our overall forecast, what that business plan is, because there's a business plan to every value add. So what does that look like? You know, when you sit down and take them through a pitch deck, we built out the pitch deck, but you got to build and cultivate a relationship first. And I'm a true believer is that energies have to align, right? And if you don't have the same amount of energy, not that you have a bad energy, but if you don't have the same amount of like the energy that I have and I'm not feeling it, we're probably not going to be a good fit for one another. So energy definitely has to align. And then it's all in the progressive follow through. But you know, they're almost treating me, you know, when we build that relationship where I always take a mentorship approach in real estate. I want my investors to know just as much information as I do. I'm just doing the legwork of finding like various deals or finding various capital groups to partner up with and come in on a deal together and just, you know, where visions align. But I'm being a mentor to my investor. You know, they expect me to kind of have the foresight and the foreknowledge and the discernment of what that investment vehicle is. And so I want to treat them. I want to, like, I'm a mentor and they're the mentees in some perspective. And it doesn't have to be said. I just treat it that way because I want to make sure that we just have transparency across the board. And I think that's key in being a mentee and a mentor is that there's complete transparency. All right. I can accept feedback. I think that, you know, even my wife's a mentor to me. She breathes life into me. So that's an amazing that we have that relationship, right? And we can feed off of each other in that way. But then I also have, mentors in my life that have just fed in me spiritually. I consider my dad one of my mentors, and a number of other people that have kind of fed into me spiritually that I just love. And then also my circle of influence, my tribe that I consider mentors in my life that we're feeding off of each other. And I'm just trying to gather discernment on a day-by-day basis. So it's not easy. It's not easy though. Like I said, yesterday sucked. I'm trying to neutralize that behavior and trying to move forward. So that is, but yeah, the superpower circle is so important of creating your inner tribe to really create those visions and lift you up on a daily basis. But they're all mentors to me. Now, I did want to talk about though, in what other ways have I stepped into a role that was uncomfortable for me, that I really honestly, like I stepped into it, I cut out. Boom, we back. All right, cool. I didn't know if it was glitchy. I was running low on the Wi-Fi. I need to transfer over to my office. So sorry about that. But the other thing is that I just, you know, something that was it was on my heart about 4 years ago. There was a racial divide, right, in St. Louis. It was just all over the place. There was a racial divide as far as just, you know, what it looked like and what racism looked like within the United States, and just a very real thing. We just had to, you know, and I wanted to deal with that head on. And I'm like trying to figure out. I'm looking at everyone around me, and they're like about as white can be. Right? I played basketball growing up, so it's not like I'm unfamiliar with color around me. But I'm like, dude, like a lot of my tribe is white. I'm like, what? Like, this is not good. This is not good to gain perspective, to get a good, to have more influence. That it's just not good for me. So I backtrack a little bit, and I had some friends that were in Big Brother Big Sister, and you know, just the nature of how Big Brother Big Sister worked. It's predominantly made up of you know, young Black males that. In young Black females or Hispanic in what we consider you know, just a demographic that needs mentorship. And so I came in with the perspective of I have a lot to learn. So it wasn't necessarily that is needed. I'm not trying to come off racist by any way. That's not, is actually, I needed to get more perspective in my life because I felt like there was too many, just a white circle of influence around me where I just need to gain more perspective on, my wife is actually Hispanic, but I felt that there's just a tribe of whiteness around me. And what does that look like? And my wife was calling.
What Matt's trying to say is he didn't travel around in a van like I did with Afro Man rapping on stages.
That's I did not do that. I did not do that. Pat is quite the story. We got to get him out to give the full story on about Pat.
I've got some stories for you all about culture. I can bring you some culture, but I get what you're saying. It's you want to balance in your life, and so if you're talking about knowledge and you're talking about balance and you're talking about superpowers, everybody has different superpowers. So if you hang out with the same people all the time, you're not going to get any perspective into the other 33, 40, 50% of, mindset shift that you need to make to be the best that you can be. I get what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, and for me, what was important was to get that perspective. So what I did about 4 years ago is I got a big brother, big sister, and I have a little, and Jamar, love him to death, man. He's part of our family. And since COVID, haven't been able to see him. So we've been wanting to see him. So Jamar, if you're watching this, man, what's up? Jamar, Vanessa. But man, I love him like a brother. And honestly, I came in with, I'm the mentor, right? But really what I came in is the mindset of being the mentee, and gained immense just perspective through it all. And what Jamar, the value he brought to me. And I hope I bring a little bit of value to him. But we do have some conversations, some deep conversations about life, have that vision, that I always talk about. But like I said, finding a mentor, right? But being available to be to be the mentee. You got to have a mindset to be the mentee, just a yearning for learning about you, because learners are earners. So I love that. It's just you have to have the mindset of the willingness to learn. So for me, that's changed my perspective, and I just kind of wanted to highlight that as far as who's your circle and how can you fracture it a little bit where you can create some perspective in your life. And that's for me. I've gotten a lot of perspective out of like mentors because I want to be a mentee. I want to constantly be learning. And I've found that from so many circles. We were talking about Mark Evans. Honestly, I call him a mentor because I listen to him almost on the daily. But
right,
Mark,
me too.
I don't know him all that well. But dude, he's about as transparent as they come, about as straight as they come. And I appreciate that about him. And dude, that's an element of a mentor to a mentee. And learning in that capacity. So, but you have to find the right ones. What does it look like to find the right ones? My influence is strategically just been influenced by, the spiritual perspective of how I can develop my leadership capacities, and then also leaderships within my household and then leadership outside of my household. So if I could recommend a few, Craig Rochelle, John Maxwell are two very strong people that have been influential in kind of the way I think and how I lead in my business and at home in my personal life. And then on a more personal level, like where I have personal relationships with people, that's my father-in-law has been really good. My dad on a spiritual level, those have been like people that I can bounce around ideas off of and really kind of like move the needle, but test them as well. Cause I think there's just a back and forth that you can do as far as a mentor and a mentee, because sometimes mentees are old and crusty sometimes. And I love that because gray hair shows wisdom, right? But sometimes they don't have the perspective of maybe a young guy. So as they're bleeding into you, all that knowledge of maybe how to lead and lead well, there's also, creative ideas that can come out of that. So I encourage that. I encourage people to utilize, podcast sources. I've also, encouraged, people to use just look in personal relationships with people, whether it's, obviously at church. I go to church. I found a lot of, just mentors within my inner circle. And then really you being the mentor, right? You passing on that legacy. And my legacy to me, as far as what legacy looks like is, the ability to pass what I learned to somebody else. And, I'm not in a business to really make money. I'm in business to create leaders. And so even in my business, I want to create leaders. And I really want to, I want to be, pushing the ball down the field by gathering, the information, but not holding that information to me, giving that back out with the giver's mentality. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. The realness is that, man, you have sucky days. Yesterday sucked for me. But how do we get through that? And then how do we lead well from that? I had some great conversations that came out today that really just gave me energy. I feed off of relationships and people, and my business thrives off of that as well. So I just want to encourage, find someone that can mentor you, and it's not, you don't have to have a physical personal relationship with them. You can identify that somebody that has a wealth of knowledge that's 10, 15, 20, 50 years ahead of you that can just feed into your mind. And then, once you feel like you're stable enough to do so and have the capacity of obviously the time, kids are extremely important. I'm a mentor to my kids. I'm always trying to lead well and lead through that, lead through this time. But then even outside to gain perspective, right? And I'm talking about my wife. She has actually started a cultural group at our church to show that, dude, if you have a white mentality, there's a white mentality out there, and how can we create perspective and all come together as this this bipartisan or unilateral I don't even know, unilateral. I guess that is a word, but I don't know why I used it. But so anyways. You liked it. I guess it's it's big, but how can we cohesively come together and just join hands and lock arms and live in this live in an awesome world we live in, right? I get to wake up and smile every day. How do we do that every day, and how do we just treat others the same way? So, anyways, Jamar just texted me. Love that dude. He is just he's been a main figure and he's a mainstay in our family. We love him. And he just it's been a big influence. So even though I am a mentor to him, I'm just as much as a mentee. It's a give and take relationship because I'm feeding off of that too. He just texted me. He's at a 3.85 grade point average this last quarter. Guy's killing it.
Way better than I ever did.
Clemson, Florida State, University of Florida. You're gonna get Nat from Jamar Randolph. You better look out for it. I'll probably be giving a ring. You better watch out because Jamar Randolph's going to be coming on campuses soon. He's a 10th grader, but we love him. So anyways, I just want to give a little perspective of what I've done, how I've gained a little bit of perspective, how I've learned through it. But being the mentor and the mentee, having those two different angles at life has really allowed me to grow and flourish. So and personally and professionally. So this is Reap the Harvest Live.
We just get it done. We get it done.
Gotta be transparent. We're getting it done. Appreciate you hosting, Pat. And
we just make moves. Follow Matty Matt, official Matt Tack on Instagram. There's a bunch of replays on there. And as always, we take the best of the best from these live streams, and we put them up on all the podcast sites. So hope you guys love it. Check out the replays, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Peace. We out.